There are some games you remember less for what you did in them and more of how they make you feel. Games like Far Cry 3, where you slowly watch a character break down. Or games like Cyberpunk, where everything feels temporary no matter how hard you try to hold on to it. But for me, that game is Metro 2033. And for Metro, I don't remember every fight, I don't remember every level. I remember the tunnels, the stations, the long walks between spaces, the moments where nothing happens, and you're just listening to the world around you. The feeling of constantly moving through a place that never really lets you relax.
Then you have to go through the reds.
Metro 2033 is a first-person shooter set after a nuclear apocalypse. It takes place in Russia, specifically underneath Moscow. After the surface becomes uninhabitable, most of humanity retreats underground. They started living inside the metro system. What used to be public transport, it became home to normal people, since it was the only option they had to survive. And then stations turned into settlements and tunnels turned into borders. And everything in the game is shaped by that one decision. Humanity choosing to survive underground instead of risking the surface. Metro doesn't tell its story through big cutscenes, it tells it through the world. Through conversations you overhear as you walk past. Through notes and small details you can miss if you're not paying attention. Things you'll walk past the first time but start noticing once you slow down. Small objects left behind and hints about what happened before you arrived. Stop the game to point these things out, they're just there, you're willing to look. And you can see the way people live underground. Their routines, their worries. It feels less like a plot you're watching and more like a place you're passing through. A world that keeps going whether you're there or not. The NPCs in Metro aren't there to stop you and tell a story. They keep things moving. They sell weapons, food, supplies you actually need. Some are working, some are guarding, some are just passing time between trains. You don't spend long with any of them, you come in, get what you need and move on. It makes the stations feel like working places, not just locations you pass through. Metro constantly applies pressure. Ammo is limited, supplies are limited, so every fight makes you think about what you actually need to use. Sometimes you take the safe shot, sometimes you hold back and save what you have. You're not planning 10 steps ahead, you're thinking about the next room, what you still have left, and whether it's enough to get through what's coming next. Combat in Metro doesn't feel empowering, it feels necessary. Every shot costs something, every reload feels risky. You're not rushing forward without thinking. Take your cover, pick your moment. You're not clearing areas because you're strong, you're clearing them because you don't have another choice. And sometimes the best move is to avoid the fight completely, to take the longer route and save what you have for when you really need it.
Well, whatever.
The monsters in Metro aren't there just to be shot, they're part of the pressure. You don't always know what you're walking into. Sometimes you hear something first, and sometimes movement in the distance. Shapes passing through the snow, you can see them before they notice you. Just far enough away that you don't have to react yet. But close enough that you know they're heading somewhere. Sounds echoing through the tunnels, and you're not always sure how close they actually are. You watch them move, trying to guess where they'll appear next. And the moment that distance appears, you don't have time to think anymore. You react, you fire, and suddenly the tension you were watching from afar is right in front of you. And as you move deeper through the metro, you begin to hear about something called the Dark Ones. Strange creatures people talk about in whispers, and you can see visions of them as you play the game. They are at the center of the story, but it's something I won't spoil here, because Metro is one of those games that's best experienced for yourself. The weapons in Metro feel rough, improvised, worn down. They don't feel like tools of power, they feel like tools of survival. The game gives you different kinds of weapons to work with. Revolvers, shotguns, rifles. They're not there to make you feel stronger, they're there to give you options. Some of the weapons feel steady and reliable. Some hit hard up close, like the shotguns that are really deadly if anyone tries to get close. Some others feel powerful but risky, and most of them are makeshift. And choosing between them is less about preference and more about what you think you can get away with. Metro isn't loud about what it's doing. It doesn't constantly try to impress you. It just lets you move through it. You spend time in these spaces and they start to feel familiar. And by the time you've gone far enough, you realize it wasn't just about the fights or the monsters or even the weapons. It was about the journey through a place that feels real, a world built on survival and on people trying to live with what's left. And that's what makes Metro memorable. Not one big moment, not a single fight, not one twist, but the feeling of being there, moving through tunnels that feel lived in, passing through stations that feel like they could exist, spending time in a world that feels quiet but never safe. It's not loud about what it's doing, it just lets you experience it. And by the time you've reached the end, you realize it stayed with you, not because it tried to, but because it felt real, and that feeling stays with you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.
Why?